What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Gold just went from darling to disaster. Turns out when the whole world piles into the same trade, it stops working. Now, Bitcoin last year took it on the chin. So is it magic internet money's time to shine? Also, Russia shuts down the internet. Police are now doing house calls for Canadian social media posts, and how to find out if your Bitcoin stash is private or a privacy nightmare. Drop a like on the video and strap in. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your weekly session. All right. Want to welcome, of course, to the stage my co-host with the most, Mr. Nathan Fitzsimmons, BTC Mentor. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. You see that Nick Shirley is getting into palliative care now?
I did see that. It seems like that's a lucrative business to be in.
Aging population, a lot of money to be made there. Not a bad strategy.
Yeah, not bad. Well, we'll talk about that in the show for sure. Let's start, though, with what is going on with gold. And there is a tweet by James Lavish, awesome Bitcoiner, very, very well informed on the macro landscape here. So I'll just share my screen here and maybe pop us up on the side here.
Good hockey player, too.
Yeah, exactly. So tweet from James Lavish just today. Good morning, gold and silver. It's your turn to be the source for cash. Sincerely, Bitcoin. And he followed it up with a chart. And so this shows the Bitcoin chart versus gold over the past couple of months here.
Okay, and 30 days, yep.
Yeah. And so you can see Bitcoin, gradually in a volatile fashion, working its way upwards. And gold not looking so hot, kind of getting crushed a little bit here. So what is going on here? And just to note, on the day earlier today, gold had dropped 7%, and Bitcoin was actually down significantly less, around 3%, I think, at the time when we were putting all this together, which is very interesting because the size of the asset classes. So like the amount of money that needs to pile out of gold versus Bitcoin for a 7% drop is quite a bit more. So there's a really good article here from Zero Hedge that I'm just going to kind of go through. It's not super long, but they call it From Darling to Disaster, Gold's Crowded Trade Starts to Unwind. So they say gold has been the consensus trade backed by strong narratives and persistent flows. But when everyone is talking about the same thing, it often stops working. That's exactly what we're seeing now. The golden puke. Gold is now breaking below the trend that has held since August. The 50-day has already given way. The price is currently testing the 100-day moving average, and the next key level sits at the 200-day, which would be just over, in and around $4,100, $4,080 specifically. Darling long gold is suddenly hitting the most oversold levels since November 2024. However, oversold doesn't mean done. We've seen this in Bitcoin before as well.
Yep.
Contrary to popular belief, gold currently isn't that, while I would push back on this, but they say it's currently not the reliable geopolitical hedge many assume it to be. The latest crisis has made that clear, with gold and the VIX moving almost perfectly in inverse tandem. Few expected GDX to sell off this hard, but here we are. The last time GDX traded at these levels, gold was around 4,150. Meanwhile, the RSI, this is a measurement of being sold or overbought or oversold, is at 27. So this is deep oversold territory. Never forget that markets tend to surprise on both magnitude and duration. Moves can extend far beyond expectations, and conditions can stay oversold or overbought for longer than most anticipate. And again, gold has effectively turned into just another risk-on, risk-off asset. Despite all the narrative around central bank buying and structural demand, the crowd is getting forced out. Now, I would push back a little bit on not being like a flight to safety. I think and we've discussed this last night on Bitcast as well, but really in these situations, people just need cash and they sell whatever's liquid. And so that could be Bitcoin, and it kind of has been Bitcoin for a little while now. but it seems to be switching teams over to gold because so many people had piled in there. And before we kind of jump into discussion here, just to compare. So here's Bitcoin on the day. It's down less than 1%. And contrast that with gold. Gold is down about 5%.
Oof.
Okay. So again, the amount of capital that has to move, the move in the market cap that has to move out of gold to accomplish a 5% drawdown versus Bitcoin at a significantly lower market cap, only being down a fraction of a percent, is very, very interesting. And just to kind of devil's advocate what Zero Hedge was saying from yet another Zero Hedge article, China did indeed buy gold for the 16th straight month. And they are becoming, I think they're the third largest holder of gold on Earth now, next to, I think, Germany and what was the other one? I'm not finding it right now. They're somewhere here, though. Germany was one of them, though. Anyways, I think they're in place number 3. Either way, Nathan, what are you making of this? Are we going from retail piling into gold to massive sell-offs and Bitcoin no longer taking it on the chin here?
Well, it's funny because there's a few things. And Goldbugs, welcome back into the fold. We're all friends again now. We're all in the sound money camp. But to the initial points from the article, like when you're talking about like the debasement trade had a name that was in the mainstream media, that's a top signal. That's always going to be a bit of a worry. I remember when we were seeing like gold bars being sold out at Costco. That's a bit of a worry. Now, is like the investment thesis behind gold shattered? No, not really. It's just cooling off here. And the unfortunate thing too about like when you're looking at like RSI and the relative strength index is I know that like when I'm not saying this is going to happen, but when the worst moments happen, it's not when it's like oversold, it's when it further tanks, right? So normally like oversold, you're looking at 30 and kind of 70 on the overbought at the top, but the big moves happen when you're already in that position. So hopefully gold gets a bit of a reprieve here and bounces back up. But if it was going to nuke down further, this is also where that might actually occur. That might actually happen. So, is the dollar going to be, are they going to stop debasing it? Are we going to have responsible fiscal spending? I'm sure we'll talk more about that later because there's more news on that front. But no, absolutely not. It just got way out over its skis. When you see retail piling into precious metals who don't even understand Austrian economics or really the thesis behind it, they couldn't tell you really the problem with fiat is. They're just seeing the FOMO and jumping in. Guys, it was just oversold. It was overbought, right? It was too much euphoria at that point in time. To your earlier point, I think the gold market cap is somewhere around like 32 trillion. It's like a 5% move is absolutely massive in terms of market cap in that scale. I think they'll probably chill for a little bit and come back up. And I saw Simon Dixon point this out, and I agree with the sort of sentiment that for me, I never view gold as kind of, and it's not an inflation hedge per se, which is why I did like nothing for a decade. Mm-hmm. It's chaos insurance, right? It's another chaos insurance hedge. And I would interpret that if we're seeing a sell-off in gold, that tells me that political instability is probably going to come down, that at least the market is signaling that they think that there may be a resolution to what's going on in Iran, not a further escalation, right? That we're going to see less chaos, less geopolitical turmoil, less uncertainty, and people are going to rotate into like the higher beta stuff, go back into equities, things of that nature. Or, because I don't think there's even necessarily a big scramble for cash right now. I think it's rotation out into other assets. So, it's nice that the gold bugs won't be taking victory laps on the Bitcoiners at this point in time. And the unfortunate thing is that let's say we do get things, unfortunate for gold, not for Bitcoin. Let's say that things do settle down, markets get a little more stability. We see the Middle East calm down. You're going to see the rotation out of like treasuries and gold into equities and probably back into Bitcoin because it's still viewed as the risk on asset because everybody else is retarded and doesn't get that this is the least risky thing in existence. Yeah. And so I think this is potentially actually a positive move forward.
Maybe next week, Walker's retard of the week will be retail. that might be the thing. But again, to your point, you were talking about gold bugs dunking on Bitcoiners. But that's how you kind of know, when there's the excessive amount of gloating. I mean, I don't know if anybody currently on the show right now watching is in the live chat, but remember we had I think there was like 3 or 4 of them regularly hitting up the live chat, just saying, oh, Bitcoin is trash, gold all the way, like precious metals all the way. Well, that's how you kind of know. Also, the pictures of people lining the streets, down the street in Australia and places like that were trying to buy up physical gold. Yeah, I mean, the writing is kind of on the wall when you're starting to see that. So yeah,
100%. And you know what? I love to see it. One, you're right, because the euphoria on silver got insane as well too. But I love it because those people are going to have such a hard time. If you're taking the time out of your busy schedule, of your important day to come over here and tell Bitcoiners that they're stupid and they should buy gold, well, then you're going to remember that moment and you're going to have to think about that when Bitcoin absolutely melts your face off in the coming months, years, whatever it might be. And those guys are really curmudgeon-y.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've saved a tweet from time to time, revisited it a few years later. I won't put myself beyond that, but hey, it's all in good fun. But this is not the only thing kind of on the radar for shit going sideways, and the reactions to it from asinine central banks. Because remember, the reason that people need and go to things like gold and Bitcoin is because of the insanity of and insidiousness of central banks. Well, this just out of the Bank of England set to hike interest rates twice as the Iran crisis decimates Andrew Bailey's 2% inflation target hopes, which, okay. Nathan, I know I'm not even going to say anything yet because I know specifically that you are ready to rant on this. So I'm going to take this off the screen right now. What do you think about the Central Bank of England looking at raising interest rates twice in response to the Iran war, and why is it stupid?
Well, there's your retard of the week. It's absolutely retarded that they're making this sort of move. And again, I don't want central banks. Well, no central bank, right? Even if they just follow the 2-year treasury, I figure there'd be a better way to go. But for the love of God, let me just climb up on the soapbox for a second here. When we don't use words properly, it distorts the message and it gets so fucking confusing. That's not inflation. That's prices going up. That is not inflation. It is a different thing. Prices going up is usually a response to currency inflation because we're creating more units, chasing less goods and services, and price going up is a response, but the two are not synonymous. They're not the same. And it's a psyop that they get away with doing that shit all the time. It is everywhere and always a monetary thing. And so if you had, say, the prices of oil going up because there's a huge demand, tons of economic activity going on in the space, and they were just gobbling up all the energy, bidding up the price of it because they needed more and more and more, that might actually be an inflationary environment because then the commercial banking system are going to be giving out a tons of loans and they're going to be issuing more dollars in response to all the economic activity. Because don't forget, the commercial banks are the ones that print a shit ton of money. It's coming from them. It's not coming from the central bank. So in that sort of a situation, this kind of response would make sense. But this isn't an inflationary situation. What's actually going on here is you have an artificial supply constraint. It's a supply shortage because for some reason we decided to go and bomb shit in the Middle East, and then they're bombing us back and shit shut down and shit can't get through and they're not producing it. And we just Iran just blew up some shit in Qatar for they blew up, I think, like 20 or 18% of the largest LNG facility in refinery in the world. I'm pretty sure Saudi got hit. There was a giant gas field in Iran that got hit. So we're just destroying our own shit. We're not actually making more currency units. So what are they going to do? They're going to see prices go up, and because they're retarded, they're going to interpret that as like, oh, there's like an inflation. We got to raise interest rates. The businesses that rely on that energy are now going to have a harder time producing things and actually doing economic activity because there's a supply constraint and prices have gone up. So they're not going to be taking out loans. So you're going to have even less economic activity once you start layering on raising interest rates on top of it. This ends with deflation. This ends really fucking badly for the economy because they're responding to the wrong fucking thing because they're Keynesian, I don't know, modern monetary dipshits. Did I cover it all? Did I think I get the basis? The shorter answer is you're dumb. You're always dumb. You always make the wrong choice.
Keynesians did this because they're the ones that fucked with the definition of inflation. Even now, just as an example, even now, a quick Google of inflation definition. Inflation is the rate at which general level of prices for goods and services rises over time, reducing the purchasing power of money. The ordering in which they even describe it, it's like prices go up and it ruins the money. No, you ruin the money and then prices go up. So like Keynesians and the economic education that most people are getting now think it's the inverse. It's the jerks that are creating the goods that are making our money worth less. No, it's the people that create the money that are making it worth less and forcing people that are making goods and services to raise prices because the money isn't worth fucking toilet paper.
I gotta just throw it just quickly. you pointed out something with this order of operations, like an additional layer on the SIOP, because if you want to get people to not actually get outraged by the fact that they are being debased by these goddamn lizard monsters, the first thing you have to do is convince them that this is just like a thing. It's like the wind in nature. Prices just go up, and therefore, we have to play with the currency because that's inflation. Not you fucked with the money, which is why the prices went up. They got the order backwards, which is part of the PSYOP of just normalizing this bullshit across the globe.
Yeah. And again, like the thinking here, really, in reality, what's happening is when the central bank creates more money, it creates inflation. And then the central bank's answer to that, when it gets out of hand, is to raise interest rates, the cost of borrowing, all of that. So it kind of like ruins the economy. So people are producing less shit and people go out of business. So that shit becomes expensive less fast.
Yep.
And what they're doing here is it's something that, funny enough, that they've not directly caused themselves as central banks, other than funding never-ending wars. That's a whole other story.
Yep.
But it's, again, as you said, it's a supply constraint from extraneous factors, and they're treating it as if it's coming from them printing money instead. And it just like, it's like people are struggling already, and they're like, but prices will go up. So what do we do? And they only have 2 buttons. So it's like none of those buttons fix the thing. So it is what it is. Yeah.
Got to call Jeff Booth on that one. Get him on the phone.
Yeah. Good Lord. Now, outside of this, we've been touching on it, and I'm not going to spend too much time here, but we've been talking about the private credit markets a lot in the shows lately, and things collapsing, going sideways. Well, never let a good crisis go to waste. With echoes of the Big Short, we can see now that Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are offering hedge fund clients ways to short the $1.8 trillion private credit market. So basically, it would seem that retail or rather, hedge fund clients really, really want to bet on things going sideways as they have been. And lo and behold, Goldman and JP are ready to offer that product. I'm curious how much of this stuff they hold themselves. And how much they created before offering this to, it seems like, exclusively hedge fund clients and not retail. But Nathan, do you have some thoughts here?
One, we're having a bit of a private credit issue, and so raising the interest rates probably going to throw some more fuel on that fire. So that'll be fun. Again, all this shit they're setting up to just break it even further. It's already broken, but they're just setting up for at least an event. 2, they already filled their bags because if they created here. We know a little bit about business. We hang out, do these things. If you create a product, there's usually one of 2 things. You think it's a really interesting idea, or that people might like it, or you got people banging on your door saying, I want this shit. And so if they're offering this product to hedge funds, I feel like, they probably had a couple hedge funds coming to them and being like, hey, I'd like to short the shit out of the private credit market. At which point they get to move first. So went, all these people want to short it. That might be a bit of a signal there. Let me fill my bags first, and then I'll offer you some as well.
This is exactly, again, if you haven't seen The Big Short, go watch it, because Michael Burry was betting against the U.S. housing market. He was shorting it. And when he first went in to ask them to build a product for him because it didn't exist, they laughed at him, but they were like, yeah, we can absolutely do that. We'll gladly take your billions of dollars or whatever. And then after the fact, he couldn't figure out why the ratings agencies, why nothing was going his way. He should be rolling in the money at this point. He should be, the shit should be hitting the fan. They were propping it up so that they could fill their bags full of these shorts first. And then they let shit hit the fan. Then they were like, okay, it's now that we're hedged, let's let reality sit in and screw retail. And so is this the same story, just rhyming? I think so.
Yeah, we're setting up for something here. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. You know, these little moments do pop up from time to time, and not every one of them is a goddamn disaster. But it is interesting in this sort of sense that with the private credit market, it seems like you've got less leverage at play than in 2008, but there's not really an asset on the other side of the table. Meaning that, like when your house crashed, you know, it could go half off, right? But you still had a house. You still had 50% of the value to recovery. Private credit can go to a big fat zero. And
Yeah.
so it's very well this contagion could spill over and have a lot of issues for the banks should it get
Yeah.
worse.
Exactly. Now, in in more exorbitant spending and craziness, we have Pete Hegseth from the Department of War. Don't worry, he's not asking for too much, just $200 billion for the war. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
$200 billion. I think that number could move. Obviously, it takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future. Ensure that our ammunition is everything's refilled, and not just refilled, but above and beyond. I mean, President Trump, as he said, rebuilt the military in his first term. Didn't think he'd use it as dynamically in his second, but he had. So thank goodness he did that. And an investment like this is meant to say, hey, we'll replace anything that was spent. And now that we're reviving our defense industrial base and rebuilding the arsenal of freedom and cutting deals like our great deputy secretaries here is doing, long lead times on exquisite munitions, we're going to be refilled faster than anyone imagined. And I think, you know, we're also still dealing with the environment that Joe Biden created. Which was depleting those stockholds and not sending them to our own military, but to Ukraine, which is every time we reach back and look at any sort of a challenge we have, it goes back to, well, send it to Ukraine. Ultimately, we think this should be these munitions are better spent in our own interests at this point, and this kind of funding bill is going to ensure that we're properly funded going.
Two things can be true. Both of those things can be bad ideas.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Right. Like, you know, I wasn't a big fan of constantly sending money over to Ukraine. Also not a big fan of $200 billion to bomb Iran for some reason, for reasons. Oh, wait, never mind. They were days away from nuclear weapons. Did you hear that, Nathan?
Days away. You know, there's something there that I really want to pull apart and just highlight for 1 second. He said, we need money to kill, or it takes money to kill bad guys, right? And I just want you to stop and think about that, because that gives away the entire game of how this stupid military industrial complex works, along with like the finances behind it. So if you can convince the population that someone is bad guys, you just got a blank check for money. That's the whole thing. So just keep that in mind. Whenever you see anything on the mainstream media, the stories that you're being fed, the narratives being shown in front of you, one, why are they being shown in front of you? Why is it in your feed? Why are you paying attention to it? When you think that somebody is a bad guy, really stop and evaluate the case, because it may not be so, right? Because this is the whole game. They convince you that these are bad guys. We destroy all the old munitions. We get to ask for a ton of new money to make new shit. It's literally broken window fallacy. Like, we're going to blow shit up. We're going to convince them that they're bad, so we can blow shit up and break shit, so that we can be paid to then rebuild it and make new shit and make new weapons on your fucking tax dollars and your inflation that eats out your purchasing power. It's the whole game, right? Just don't be tricked anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I will say it is refreshing that not everybody is just going to partisan toe the line this time, it seems. There are those that are just, no matter what, he's my guy on my side of the aisle, so I will agree with everything. But you do see those that were like, I was promised the president of peace. I was promised this, that, and the other thing, and I'm not getting that, and I'm upset. Rightfully so. So it's nice when people can.
Joe Kent, the director of, what was it, counterterrorism. I'm blanking on the title right now, but he resigned. He said, I'm not into doing Iran, and he had some interesting words of who he was blaming.
Yeah, indeed. I noticed that for sure. Well, we're going to jump to break here, but on the other side of it, we have seen some very interesting stuff when it comes to internet censorship, internet shutdowns, and internet beyond censorship. We saw some door knocking from Canadian police for social media posts. Please, I mean, it was inevitable, but like, how soon are we going to become the UK? Either way, we're going to touch on all of that and more when we get back on the other side of the break. If you're enjoying the conversation, make sure you drop a like on the video And we'll see you guys in just a moment. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The Tap Signer gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Mines, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantmines.com/sessions. All right, back in, and let's talk about more internet censorship and draconian panopticon type stuff coming our way.
Fun.
Yeah, I know, fun, super fun. I mean, it is important to see what happens in different parts of the globe and at home so that you can arm yourself with the tools to properly navigate it. And all of these freedom-related technologies are tangential to Bitcoin. Bitcoin keeps your money free, and some of these other tools can keep your speech free and private as well. So let's chat Russia a little bit. What is going on there? So this article here highlights mobile internet blackouts sweep Moscow, leaving residents feeling powerless. So what is this? Moscow is in the throes of a major mobile internet blackout as the Russian government tightens restrictions it has touted as necessary to ensure the security of its citizens. The Russian capital has been more or less spared from a wave of systemic mobile internet outages that have hit the country since May, which authorities have said are necessary to counter the threat of Ukrainian drones. But since the first week of March, Muscovites, is that what they call them?
I guess so. That's the first time I've ever heard that before.
Yeah, damn. Okay. All right. Muscovites have also found themselves without connectivity on their phones. The restrictions have disrupted the daily lives of millions of residents and hit businesses that rely on mobile internet, leading Muscovites to revert to cash. Interesting. eCash could be a good one in there.
Could be very helpful.
Yeah. And some are questioning whether the government is doing it deliberately. Maybe that could be a thing, but let's continue. No one is happy about this. No one understands why it's happening, or rather, everyone seems to understand why. Lyra, a Moscow resident who works in the arts industry, told NBC News in a text message Monday, "We feel powerless and unable to influence it. We expect a complete blackout within 6 months." NBC News agreed not to use the last names of those interviewed. They're probably already in a gulag somewhere because they were wary of speaking to foreign media about sensitive security topics and did not want their personal details shared, fearing possible, very likely repercussions, I'd say. The outages come on the backdrop of increasing restrictions on what Russians can and cannot do online in what has been a widening crackdown on free speech since President Vladimir Putin launched his invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Most recently, the Telegram messaging app has been slowed down and a ban has been mooted by authorities in the country. where it is widely used for both news and everyday information. This is the funny part here. The Kremlin has tried to steer people to a state-backed alternative known as Max, which was created by the state-controlled company VK, and some fear it could be used for surveillance. You don't say. Either way, like, this seems very obviously, implemented by this guy here. And so what do people do in this situation? First off, before we go into solutions here, Nathan, do you have any initial thoughts on this?
One of my initial thoughts is, do you remember back in the day? I don't know about you, but I didn't. So I got a phone for the first time when I was 16. I started driving. It was one of those like really shitty Nokias. They were great, right? There was dumb phone. You could pay $1 for a ringtone, but it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to just be prepared in the sense that, like, if you had no cellular data, you had no phone. What resources could you do? Who could you contact? How would you contact them? How far away are they? And just start to mull over these ideas a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you don't want to be in a position where you're so absolutely dependent that you couldn't possibly turn to a neighbor or somebody.
Yeah, 100%. And, there's a couple things that came to mind when I was reading this. So, of course, there's BitChat. And BitChat, if I can, I'm going to have to just do the fancy... How will we do this? There we go. I'll make it better. There we go. BitChat. So BitChat, it requires no internet connectivity whatsoever as long as you have it. So it's a good thing. It's like it's just like something you want in your tool belt in case. It's like having a fire extinguisher around. You hope you don't need it, but if you do, you're glad you have it. So I'd recommend everybody go download BitChat right now. Head over to bitchat.free. There's links for being able to get it in the App Store. It's on iOS and it's on Android. But either way, you can also download the APK file as well for Android. But it basically allows you to use a mesh network, which is creating effectively your own internet through Bluetooth with nearby people. So in instances where there's social unrest, there are protests, things like that, people can turn this on and instantly be connected with everybody in their range. And then once you're connected to one person, it extends your range to beyond them. I think it's 100 meters or something like that.
I've seen both 100 feet and 100 meters. 100 meters seems implausible to me for Bluetooth, but I could be wrong. But 100 feet kind of makes sense. So about 100 feet, but it operates very much like the Bitcoin network. It's just a series of nodes, and it's like almost like sending a lightning payment. You will route through the network of people that all have the Bluetooth turned on and connected to get the message to the intended recipient that you want. Super, super powerful, because it means that they knock out the telecommunications, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. The cool thing about this is Jack Dorsey vibe coded it in an afternoon. And then that was just for iPhone. And then Calais, the gentleman who also created Cashew, eCash for Bitcoin, he vibe coded it over to an Android port, did all the work to get it done. But hats off to both of them, because this has not only been used for political tension and protests and things like that, and funny enough, they can actually tell when there's about to be civil unrest because BitChat downloads in those regions pop off right before it happens, which is crazy. But also when there's natural disasters. So we know Dread, awesome Bitcoiner, but he's down in Jamaica, and I had made a tutorial on how to use BitChat, and he's messaging me before being like, yo, your timing was perfect because there's a hurricane about to roll through, and everybody's like back and forth on Telegram trying to figure out BitChat, and they're sharing the tutorial, which is awesome. So really, really cool to see this. And outside of that, just in the realm of mesh networks as a whole, there's a project called Meshtastic. So off-grid communication for everyone, an open source, off-grid, decentralized mesh network built to run on affordable, low-power devices, no cell towers, no internet, just peer-to-peer connectivity. This is something I've not had the pleasure of playing with yet, but there's funky, cool little devices that you can set up. You can create your own mesh network locally in your own region. You can bring these devices with you, and yeah, it's super, super cool. Nathan, you haven't played around with anything like this yet, have you?
No, I haven't. But I was thinking about a few things as we're going through. It's like it'd be really nice if even like something like BitChat, if you'd almost like have if one of the nodes has access to the internet, if you could tie into like Lightning infrastructure or tie into the Bitcoin network, if you had the ability then to relay it across the rest of the mesh network, because you wouldn't even have to use eCash then. You could do Bitcoin as long as one person had a connection.
Yes.
That might be like a really cool build out at some point in time. Haven't played with Meshtastic. I gotta say, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I just think of an attractive woman in fishnet stockings by the name Meshtastic. So I'm like, all right, cool. It sounds fun.
Good. I feel like that would be a good marketing campaign.
Right?
I feel like it's a missed opportunity. But yeah, I mean, totally agree. And that's true. Again, if you have one person with one connection, then you can kind of funnel through that individual to get things on the fly. But again, in the absence of that, Cashew is something great. Cashew.me would be a good one here. And so this you can basically set up, and I probably already used this on this. Oh no, brand new, but it's pretty simple. You just go through and you can create a new wallet. It gives you a seed phrase. I'm just going to say I've written it down. And then it gives you different mints that you can add. Again, the trade-off here is that it is, of course, custodial, but also incredibly private. And it can then be used offline. So there we go. I already have a wallet. I can hit receive. I can receive either eCash or Lightning. eCash transactions can be done entirely offline. So pretty cool. Worth checking out.
That was about 42 seconds, by the way. 42 seconds to set that thing up on the fly. So really powerful in times of maybe crackdown or infrastructure falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. And I see somebody in the chat said 100 feet is nothing. Yeah, it's a very small space. But the point isn't you need to be 100 feet from everyone. You need to be 100 feet from one person. Yep. And then that person needs to be 100 feet from any other person. And so as soon as you get like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon going, and picture this in an area where there's mass protests going on and they shut off the internet. And so you can no longer coordinate. Now you can.
Trucks in front of Ottawa, in front of the Parliament building, you're all going to be within 100 feet of each other.
Yeah, exactly. So again, and with something like Meshtastic, that pushes that way further. You can create mesh networks that go way further with a little bit more specialized equipment rather than just Bluetooth on your phone. So let's chat Canada, because this shit was wild. I don't know if this is expletive laden or not, but we'll just play a little bit of it. It's not too bad.
So
you've made some online posts to the Prime Minister of Canada. Do you have anything to say about that?
Can you be more specific? What post? What I specifically said? Do you have a screenshot?
Yeah, you specifically said, and you made it online.
Well, because I mean, he's a Zionist scumbag, and he's not my Prime Minister, so...
Okay.
Well, there goes the monetization in this video. but nonetheless, the long and the short of it is this lady voiced her displeasure with Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, online, and was visited by police at her home. Now, I've seen some commentary, and I haven't seen the post myself, but and I believe she removed it actually. But I do believe it also said, I'm coming for you, or you're going to get what's coming, or something like that. So I'm not trying to play devil's advocate for these police. I'm just trying to say, like, can that be construed as a threat? I don't know, but I still, like, I see this and I'm like, we are this close to what's been happening in the UK. Like, this is just the first inklings of it. From like somebody being pissed off and just like some mundane like housewife at home being like, fuck this guy, very quickly. And with the passage of all of these online kind of like hate speech laws in Canada, we are so close to being, I mean, we're basically already there. It's just we haven't yet seen the influx of videos, but it's coming. Nathan, what do you think?
It's anarcho-tyranny, right? Because think of it, like, how fast did they respond to a post? Like, that's really a priority. I'm sure, especially in like the GTA area, you probably have some maybe other public incidents, maybe violence against good citizens, maybe some theft or property damage. But no. You said mean things about the prime minister. You can't talk bad about the regime. We're showing up right then and there. They will. It's so goddamn ridiculous that they will absolutely go out of their way to use the law against you, but to protect you, to protect your property, absolutely not. You call the police in an emergency, they might be there the next day.
Yeah. If you notice things, they notice you.
Yep.
And the police specifically don't notice other things. So there's a lot of noticing and not noticing going around. It's pretty wild. So, I mean, either way, I think it's time that we also address in this type of situation, what is effective? What can you do to not have this dude at your door?
We don't have a Second Amendment, Ben.
Right. That's true. That's true. Yeah, unfortunately, if you try to defend yourself in your home, you will go to jail for not readily handing over your car keys to the intruder. But that said, what about your online privacy, being able to avoid censorship, but also maintain privacy? So anonymous accounts, always effective. You got to be, if you believe that this is coming for you, then and you're going to be saying spicy things, it might be time to go in on and create an account for that specific purpose. Also, we've seen stories about them trying to find anonymous accounts. What country was that out of? I'm trying to remember. That was recently. We talked about this.
Yeah, my instinct actually was that it was Canada, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it might have been either Australia or the UK. I think it was the UK actually again.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all wrapped in like keeping our children safe and the age verification, that kind of stuff too. But get yourself a VPN. Mulvad is great, and you can get it privately because you can pay in Lightning. You can pay with Bitcoin. So, and there's no account there's no like email or anything like that. It's literally just a number. You have an account number, and then you just plug that number into whatever your device you're using it on, and Mulvad will work. So I've been pretty happy with that. Works great. In terms of preventing censorship, again, how many times we're going to say it? Noster.
Yep.
You can post. They cannot take it down. I mean, in this instance, like you've got to balance. You've got a tight wire to walk, because privacy important, censorship resistant important. But when you've got a police officer at your door and they have linked you to a Noster post that you cannot take down, that's kind of forever. So there's like you got to be intelligent about how you use censorship resistant social media as well. So I don't know, anything to add to that, Nathan?
Yeah, just start off every post with the following is satire, and hopefully that'll cover your ass.
That's fair. That should just be default on everything. Just have like a little watermark underneath. And one last thing I wanted to touch on here, when it's not the government cracking down or censoring your speech or tracking you, it might just be the big tech panopticon. And there's been a number of people that this has happened to over the past number of years. People playing Pokemon Go. This is crazy. So 43 million people thought they were catching Pokemon. They were actually building one of the largest real-world visual data sets in AI history. Niantic just disclosed that photos and AR scans collected through Pokemon Go have produced a data set of over 30 billion real-world images. The company is now using that data to power visual navigation AI for delivery robots. Players didn't just walk around with their phones. They scanned landmarks, storefronts, parks, and sidewalks from every angle at every time of the day, in lighting and weather conditions that stage photography would never capture. They documented the physical world at a scale no mapping company with a fleet of vehicles could ever have replicated in the same timeline or budget. Niantic collected this systematically, data point by data point, across 8 years, Well, users thought the only thing at stake was catching a rare Charizard. The most valuable AI training data sets in the world aren't being assembled in data centers. They're being built by people who have no idea they're building them. Once again, I mean, question what you're downloading. I mean, it's just, what a mess, man.
What I tried it out back in the day. I absolutely did walk around. I was like, man, feel like a useful idiot. It's like, wow, all it took was like a little nostalgia baiting, and they got the globe to do their work for them at no cost.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I mean, smart, kind of smart, not a bad idea. Make a fun little game and have it go viral. I mean, they had to have it go viral, so they needed the rights to Pokemon, but
kind of evil genius.
Yeah, very, very evil corp vibes I get from that. But
totally.
Yeah, either way. So once again, do we have them ready?
We do. I got the thumbs up signal.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So backed by popular demand, everybody's favorite Fiat correspondent is coming back to the show to tell us once again what we've gotten so wrong over the past week. Walter.
Oh, hello, Benjamin, Nathaniel. You know, you mentioned on the previous episode that some of your audience think that you two Bitconers only bring doom and gloom. Well, I thought I would graciously represent the dollar by offering your viewers some early spring cheer. And what could be more cheerful than a clown? And in that cheerful spirit, allow me to share some uplifting feel-good stories in this week's pecking order. Peck number 5. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell recently reported there has been net zero job creation over the past 6 months, which is actually a good thing because a higher jobs report traditionally leads to interest rate hikes, whereas a lower jobs report can lead to lower interest rates, thus creating more jobs. Peck number 4. Private credit lenders are defaulting, which is good because the harm to investors will incentivize brave politicians to fold these predatory Wild West lenders into a traditional banking system and protect investors with safe, patriotic investments like bonds. Peck number 3. The much criticized war has seen greedy oil companies more than double their prices, thus paving the way for non-greedy green energy. Nature is healing, and that healing is happening fastest in Iran. Peck number 2. Our friends in Canada recently joined our friends in Europe and Australia by passing legislation to moderate hateful speech on the internet. And while we Westerners get to enjoy a safe internet space, the good news is that this can be the beginning of a movement to protect children around the developing world from the most violent threat they face, words. And peck number 1. In a win for dollar acceptance over Bitcoin, the US government debt of $39 trillion now counts for 1/3 of the global money supply. Next stop, half.
Wow, you really caught me off guard there. Have you been tanning?
I've been bringing good cheer. That's all. Just good cheer.
Walter, I've got one question for you. I guess there's so much there, but I'll just stick with the last point. $39 trillion in debt. Who is ever going to repay that?
Well, that's the neat part. You don't. Unlike your Ponzi scheme, Bitcoin, we can simply issue more debt to pay back the existing debt.
As always, thank you, Walter, for informing us on our mistakes. We look forward to seeing you next week. And guys, if you're enjoying the show, drop a like. We'll be back after the break. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? AQUA Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. AQUA also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, AQUA is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download AQUA Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With NUNCHUK's HONEYBADGER plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. NUNCHUK is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The HONEYBADGER plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step by step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, ColdCard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the HONEYBADGER plan. Debify is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multisig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the ColdCard Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional-grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to debify.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. All right, we're back. I don't even know. That really threw me off, man.
Well,
Yeah.
it's always wonderful having Walter on the program. Love having Walter on the program because we actually have no idea what's coming when we go into it, and I did not fucking see that coming.
Oh man, yeah. Great points though. Great points that he made.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
It's important to get both sides of the argument. We got to talk to Fiat people every now and then.
Yeah, we can get in our Bitcoin bubble. We need to know what the Fiaters are thinking, and that Walter definitely embodies the Fiat mentality. That is absolutely certain. So
For sure.
nonetheless, we're gonna pivot here a little bit. Nathan, we were chatting a little bit about this, but pretty wild. The hospice fraud going on in LA. This is crazy to me. And this brought to us by our good friend Nick Shirley. Same dude who figured out all of the all of the daycare fraud happening in Minnesota.
Everything's a Somali daycare, it seems, these days.
Yeah, very lucrative lines of work, and it would seem hospice care is no different. An investigation by CBS. Well, I mean, yeah. They discovered massive Medicare fraud. More than 700 out of 1,800 licensed hospice providers in LA County. The scam utilizes stolen Medicare numbers to fraudulently enroll healthy seniors in hospice with fake terminal diagnoses, billing Medicare an average of 29 grand per patient without delivering care to the tune of hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. 31% of hospice and home health companies in the US are registered in LA County. But when investigators visited the addresses listed, they found no clinics, patients, or healthcare workers, and instead they found multiple red flags, including multiple hospices in one building, high rates of terminally ill patients later discharged alive, excessive billing, and staff shared across multiple companies. This is absolutely insane yet again. And think of, okay, so I watched a little bit of the Nick Shirley thing where he went to this like old, like dumpy motel, and in this motel, every single room was a hospice company. Or like every room of this entire motel was a list with like a name, a placard on the door of like whatever company, all of them, all in one motel. And then parked in the middle of the motel were just expensive luxury vehicles, BMWs and Mercedes and all these different things. He starts knocking on the doors being like, "Oh, I'm looking for hospice care." And as they realized who he was and what he was doing there, you see all these guys like ripping out to their cars and jumping in these Beamers and just like speeding out of the parking lot. It was insane. But like, if this is happening and these are just, I feel like they're just starting to come to light, because when you give free money away, first of all, it's a bad practice. Like there should be some, but like it seems like there's no checks and balances. And I feel like we barely even scratched the surface of the fraud that is made possible, in large part because of the fiat ecosystem. Like you can just paper this over, no problem. You can always, there's no end to how much debt you can, and you see it in the national debt, but there's no backstop. There's no point where the fraud can be so big that they can't paper it over. And this is the problem with the fiat system. So Nathan, what are you thinking here?
Well, it's a very, very good points, and I think I can fix the whole thing. See, the issue that we have here is one of the worst possible places on my 4x4 quadrant, or sorry, 2x2 quadrant, is that you have, your money that you're spending on yourself, someone else's money that you're spending on yourself, your money that you're spending on someone else, and not your money and not being spent on you. And that's what's going in this little bubble right there. And you're going to see the worst cases of fraud and misuse and misallocation in that area. But don't worry, I can fix the fraud. I can fix the relationship between the sexes. We can get that back together. I can fix the political divide, and I can even fix the immigration problem. I can get all of it cleared out in one fell swoop. And here we go. Ready? No fucking welfare state. Don't give free shit away. Then people won't come for free shit. People won't fight over free shit. People won't steal the free shit. None of it. Get rid of all of it. And so many, what a slip of the tongue there. So many of society's issues go by the wayside. They're just gone. So fuck all this crap.
Yeah. Honestly.
And before anybody gives me shit, it's like, it's Medicaid or Medicare or whatever the fuck, right? As someone who comes from a socialist hellhole with free healthcare, it's fucking garbage anyways. I wish there was no safety net. Absolutely none. I don't want any of their infrastructure. I don't want their goddamn doctors. They're awful. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about most of the time. I will happily pay for every little bit of it, because then I'd actually be able to get it and the quality would actually be decent.
Yeah. I honestly, I echo it. And I think that people think, okay, one, when you force people to pay for these things, it's not altruism, it is theft.
Yes.
Right. And they also think that in the absence of the theft to hold these things up, that there wouldn't ever be any sort of community initiative where people voluntarily partake in taking care of the most down and out segments of society when a crisis strikes. And this is the problem with becoming dependent on the state, is you stop building social bonds with your neighbors and your family. This is why, like, people don't have big families anymore. People just move away from their relatives. People just live out there as single individuals in the middle of nowhere. Well, I mean, the state will take care of me. I've got my Medicaid. I've got whatever. When in reality, like, people, there was something to when people relied on their neighbors, and they needed to know other people, because when they actually needed something, they became destitute or something like that, they had somebody to lean on, and they also would reciprocate, right? Oh, you helped me during my hard time, then I'm going to help you. Or you would reciprocate for me, so I'm going to make sure I look out for you, so that if either of us end up in dire straits, we can help each other. We've completely lost that.
Yep.
And we've relied on the state, and the state has squandered that and allowed for all of this type of fraud. And it just keeps on snowballing more and more, so that they need to take 30 to 50% of everything you make to keep it afloat, because of, I mean, the misallocation of capital, both just from poor decisions. You outlined that little matrix. It's somebody else's money and you're not spending it on yourself. What do you think when it's your own money and you're spending it on yourself? Your incentive is to get the best possible product for the lowest possible price. When it's not your money and it's not for you, neither of those things matter. Yeah. Especially when you have forever money. When you make bad decisions and you know that there's always going to be more taxes coming in, and you know that even if there's not enough taxes, you can print more money, there's no incentive to do anything in an efficient manner. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, Ben, you might not know this, but in the before time, there used to be these things called charities and churches, and people voluntarily gave to them because they had money that they could give, and they gave a shit about their community and didn't outsource even their altruism to the state, which, by the way, I love that point. It always drives me up the wall. You voting to give other people's money to other people does in no way make you a good person. Fuck off with that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Now, I do want to have something positive here.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to say out of Canada, but is it out of Canada? No, it's out of the free state of Alberta. And despite the government's best efforts to continue to euthanize anybody with any affliction, Alberta has just worked to ban MAID, short for medical assistance in dying, for Canadians whose only medical condition is mental health related. So, in other words, if you're sad, we won't kill you for it.
Yep. Yep. It's the little victories, I suppose. We still have the state going around executing people,
Yeah.
but at the very least, the free state of Alberta has decided to stand up and say, no more killing people with seasonally affected disorder. Like, no more killing depressed 26-year-olds, you monsters.
Yeah. I hope this makes a dent into that stat that we showed on this show a couple weeks ago, where we're now euthanizing more humans than dogs.
Yep, about 1 in 5 of deaths. I think I saw it was like 18% were medical assistance in death, which I hate their euphemisms. They're like names for bills and stuff. It's medical assistance in death. You're euthanizing them. If we want to be more blunt, you're killing them.
Yes.
You were killing them. I think
At
this
least
still qualifies as murder.
State-assisted suicide.
State-assisted suicide, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. On the opposite side, man, I try to sprinkle in positive things, but come on, the UK House of Lords just legalized abortion up to birth, basically. There's some nuance here, but effectively, you can't get it done through practitioners, but it removes any sort of legal implication if a woman does it herself up to the moment of birth.
Human civilizations for thousands of years have been sacrificing children. In terms of like fourth turning and what do you say, degeneracy and horrors of our culture, I'm hoping this is a top signal.
Yeah, God, I hope so. I want one last thing here. I mean, I'm really going to change gears here, but something cool came across my radar. Cool-ish. I have my reservations, but Francis Pouliot shared this. It's something called Am I Exposed? Although he's running it locally, that's interesting.
Right.
So you may be able to self-host. So basically, a privacy scanner that checks your UTXOs to see how private or non-private they are. If you can run this locally, then I would try it.
It depends, because is there any API calls in the background? Is it communicating with like Anthropic or ChatGPT? Is it sending off the data to an LLM to process? Because if there's not sort of like external calls, then maybe. Because I'm with you. I was like, I'm curious, but I'm very hesitant to give an app that says, "Am I exposed?" my information, thus potentially exposing me to them.
Exactly. My thoughts exactly. So he said, built to fill the gap left by OXT. This is from the Samurai guys. Again, another casualty of the state. So it runs 100% client side, no backend, no tracking. Paste an address or TXID, get a 0 to 100 privacy score with specific findings. And if you run Umbrel, you can use this app directly from your node. The engine implements over 30 heuristics that evaluate the on-chain privacy of your transactions and addresses. It includes labels for 30 million addresses, 650 entities. What can it analyze? Transaction ID, an address, an entire wallet with an XPub or descriptor, a PSBT before signing it, so you can assess your privacy before broadcasting. That's super fucking interesting.
That's cool.
When you run a search, you get a privacy score, a transaction graph showing inputs, outputs, deterministic links, and a top recommendation. Switching to cypherpunk mode unlocks much more. Wallet fingerprints, visual tracing, similar to OXT, deeper analysis. That's wild. That's super cool. So anyways, what I'm going to do, I have a tutorial wallet that I do in all my videos, that I use in all my videos, and that thing is doxed to shit. So I just want to plug it in and see what comes back for that, because that would be really, I'm going to play with that. I think this is a video in the making. I think this is a solid tutorial to do.
Throw us a comment in the chat if you want Ben to make this one. Let me know how that goes, because if it's looking good and it's all local, I'm probably going to give it the old college try here.
Yeah. I mean, you can't know until you use like some of these adversarial tools. I love the PSBT thing to check before you broadcast.
Yeah.
That's good, because it's just like, warning, you do this, you're fucking your setup. Like that,
Yep.
that's very useful. So yeah. Anyways, I'll have to follow up on that and give it a try. But either way, thank you guys all for watching. What a blast. Good time. Hope you guys enjoyed Bitcast the other night too. That was an absolute banger. And Nathan, what do you got coming up this week?
I've got a interview that should be out on Tuesday. We'll see how things go. Recording on Monday. Interview coming up with Dave Cullum and Simon Dixon, sitting down having a chat. And I was very excited to get those two together. So we'll be diving into the latest and greatest, probably a lot on what's currently going on in the precious metals markets overall, Bitcoin, and of course the Iranian conflict and where they see it going.
Nice. Awesome. And keep your eyes out. AQUA just had a refresh of their wallet, so the interface changed up. I put together a video on that. That should be dropping tomorrow. And then, of course, we'll be hitting you guys up with tons of great stuff in the next week. So subscribe if you haven't already. With that, I'm out. I'm Ben. This was Nathan. And this was your weekly session. See you guys next time. When I first got into Bitcoin, I was overwhelmed. The jargon, the security risks, the fear that one mistake could cost everything. I remember staring at my screen and wondering, are my keys safe? Did I do this right? That experience is why I started BTC Sessions. For over a decade, this channel has helped millions of people like you learn how to use and secure Bitcoin. But I realized something. For many people, videos aren't enough. Everyone learns differently. Some need to ask questions in real time as an expert walks through their setup, their goals, and their threat model. And certain things like advanced cold storage, inheritance planning, privacy, and node or mining setups often can't be fully solved by watching another tutorial. So I built BTC Mentor. I recruited the best Bitcoin educators on the planet to work with you one-on-one. Real experts, real answers, personalized, hands-on guidance tailored to your exact situation. Whether you're brand new or building a complex setup, we meet you where you're at and walk with you step by step. By the end, you don't just hope your Bitcoin is safe, you know it is. If you're ready for that level of confidence, then head to btcmentor.io and book a call with us today.